Well, everybody, here's my Sonex airplane. A few things that I have done. I've added a rotor trim tab and a carbon monoxide detector inside the cockpit area. So we're going to walk on over there and we'll take a look at some of those things. Okay, here we are walking up on top of the cockpit area here. First I'll just kind of review my cockpit with you guys here. This is pretty darn simple cockpit. I got a lot of switches and stuff down there, mainly for all my lights and such. But on the left hand side in the front, I have my flap handle right back here. And then just deep inside of that, you can't see it, but I got a mechanical brake handle similar to that. And then to the left, this knob here is of course my my fuel. I have my mixture control right there, and a button right here it kind of cycles through my different strobe patterns. And from there, going from left to right on my little switches, I got my master switch, my alternator switch, my left mag, my right mag, my starter button, instrument lights, which goes up to my instrument pod up here. It lights up those three instruments: strobes, nav lights, taxi lights, landing lights, and my wigwag feature. Got my comm radio, which is a Flightline 760 radio, and then my intercom system just to the right of that. If you can see here, I'll zoom in a little bit. I have an auxiliary plug-in for music. I haven't tried that out yet. Up here I got my timer for my fuel, GPS, activates my GPS up here, and then the 12 volt DC goes onto a 12 volt DC plug-in, as you see back over here. I can plug in some additional stuff if I need to. Got my GPS, have my lift reserve indicator, and my engine information system, which has all of my temperatures, RPM. I have it inline with the airspeed indicator, vertical speed indicator, altimeter as well. And I have all that wired into this little instrument pod I built up here, which again has my airspeed, my vertical speed, and a single hand dial altimeter, which I don't really like too much. It's hard to get used to that. To be honest with you, I set it to 0 for field elevations here at Cook is about 1,350 feet MSL. I set that to pretty much 0 just so I know how high I am above the ground. I set my engine information one over there, my little black box. I set that one to my MSL every time. I have my little ball up there, my idiot light, in case there's any warnings on my engine information system. It lights up and starts blinking at me, so it makes it pretty nice. Kind of back out here a little bit. I got to push the talk switch on top of my my center stick there. I opted for the center stick version. People say you can just fly right in the center of the airplane here and have one huge cockpit for a single seat airplane. I haven't tried that yet. I've set to the left over here. Passenger typically would sit over to the right, and you'd have a stick in between you guys. But all my flying's been on the left side since I started. I've only flown maybe 10 hours in this airplane so far, so I have to fly 40 hours to take someone else up with me. All this stuff over here, my home-based carbon monoxide detector. I had to get that because I've had problems with my little, you can see my little Sporty's pilot shop. I have a couple of them mounted there. They've been turning dark on me, indicating a high carbon monoxide level inside the cockpit. They don't read a number per se. That's the reason I bought the home version right over here. It starts reading at 30 ppms, and it shoots off a signal and gets a spot check every, I think, 3 minutes or so, or maybe it's every 30 seconds even. But the highest I've seen is 88, which is actually pretty darn high, but I've only seen that once. We sealed off the cockpit firewall area since then, and the numbers have actually came down around the 40 range, and that's normally just on climb out and doing different maneuvering and such things like that. Kind of stepping on the other side of the airplane here, you can kind of see back here I have my jacks for my headsets right there, What I have inlined a voice recorder, especially during these initial flights. I can kind of sound off some different temperatures and such, and then come back after the flight and then write them all down, and what RPM I'm at, what my cylinder head temp, exhaust gas temp, and oil pressure, what kind of numbers they're all reading, and I can do that at different RPMs, different attitudes, just to have an idea. It's kind of hard with the engine information system. It shoots out some numbers, and I'm so used to having the analog type gauges. It's taken me a while to get used to it. So anyway, I'm hooked up a voice recorder, so I can just record those numbers out, and then when I get back on the ground I can see kind of where I'm at with all that. I do have a little baggage compartment back there behind that area back there. It's just made out of vinyl. It's not very deep. It holds 30 pounds the maximum, but that pretty much goes through the whole cockpit area at this time. As you can see, it has a kind of a fold over canopy, or off to the side there. I don't have this thing polished or anything yet. I have a little bit of polish down here by my end numbers and my data plate back there, but that's been about it. And some on the other side of the fuselage, the aft part of the fuselage, I polished up a little bit, but it's just freezing cold out here, and I'm not gonna mess with it until a little bit closer to spring. Okay, we're back here at my rudder. Right now you can see the trim tab. It's just a mechanical linkage with a little lever on the side. I forgot to show you that inside the cockpit, but for pitch trim. But if you can see that, that's going to be my rudder trim. And like I said, it's just a piece of balsa wood. I covered up with some aluminum tape or monocoat they use for the radio controlled airplanes, and put some double-sided tape on it, stuck it on there, and it worked out pretty good for me. I got the airplane, it trims out the airplane pretty good. With that Jabiru 3300 120 horsepower engine, it creates quite a bit of torque, and of course you still need it during right foot on your rudder pedal during takeoff and such, but it works good for cruise. It really does. One more thing I wanted to show you guys. I have a strobe LED light back here. It's nav light, strobe light combination on the wing, on each wing tip. I have my taxi light, landing light. They're just pretty simple halogen type bulbs, nothing too fancy. I do have the same location on the other wing. I can use for a wigwag feature, and they alternate back and forth. Here on my left wing, that's my lift reserve indicator. I bought that from a guy who's retired, and he's an old machinist, and he just makes those, and relatively cheaply. You can get the digital kind, which are a lot more expensive, but I just opted for the cheap version for now. And I got a new antenna. Oh, that's one more thing. I had an antenna in the back of my turtle deck, but I ended up changing over to this one down here. I've only flown with it once. I was getting a lot of feedback in my headsets and everything else, just problem after problem. So anyway, this is actually working out pretty good down there. I'm happy with it. Nevertheless, I don't have my gear leg fairings on, or my wheel pant fairings on yet as well, but let me come on over here. My cylinder head temperature has been reading really darn cold, especially that front cylinder there. We put some aluminum tape on it, and we're gonna have to make that some of that aluminum baffling. There's a plate in there, you can see there's 2 screws. We actually have to make that up ourselves, and just to trim it, adjust it, make a new one. Probably for different temperatures of the season is what it's going to look like. But and there's one inside there you can see, and that one's actually working out pretty good. I've been covering up my oil. This is my oil cooler inlet. Been using that quite a bit. Been covering that up with tape. My oil temperature's been pretty darn chilly. But over here, airspeed indicator and static ports.